Hello, good afternoon. Welcome everyone on our Zoom call. Mr. Jabili, are you hearing me okay over there?
Your Honor, good afternoon.
Excellent. Good
Recording
afternoon to
in
you.
progress.
And is that Mr. Hamilton that I have in front of the jail? Mr. Hamilton, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to you, sir. I have both you gentlemen here in open court and on the record. I'm calling the matter of Sean Hamilton. This is case number 2023-000401M. Recall, Mr. Hamilton, this is a case in which you were previously charged with trespassing, alleged to have occurred at 3131 South Broadway here in Englewood, alleged to have occurred back on September 11th of this year, 2023, at approximately 34 p.m. on the original summons and complaint. Court records show that you had failed to appear for a properly ordered court date. The original court date on the ticket that was issued back on November 8th of this year, court issued a bench warrant for your arrest at $75 cash only bail amount. This may be personal recognizance mandatory based on the nature of the charge. Counsel, please enter your appearance on his behalf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Khalid Jabili, 39212. Your Honor, I have gone over the proposed disposition with Mr. Hamilton. It contemplates a trespass. There would only be 30 days jail suspended on the condition of no further violation of the law for 1 year and no contact with 7-Eleven at 3131 South Broadway. Any fines and costs open to the court. I would know Mr. Hamilton still has a Denver Sheriff's Office hold, as well as a parole hold.
Understood. Appreciate that information. Mr. Hamilton, did you see a video advisement of your rights today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything making it difficult for you to understand what we're doing today, such as medication, illness, drugs or alcohol, or anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me regarding the nature of the charge against you, your rights, the procedures of our court, the plea bargain being offered today, or in fact, any other questions before we proceed?
No, Your Honor.
If you don't have any other questions or concerns, Mr. Hamilton, how do you plead to the charge of trespassing? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You understand that by pleading guilty today, you're giving up your rights to trial in this case, including a potential jury trial to your peers in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
As well as the rights that you were advised of in the video advisement today. Do you understand you're waiving all those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also understand that you're telling the court that this is your decision and your decision alone to plead guilty and accept this plea offer today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, would you waive further advisement in the establishment of the factual basis on the charge?
I would, Your Honor.
In that case, I'll accept Mr. Hamilton's plea as a voluntary plea with a knowing and intelligent waiver of his rights. Before I proceed to sentencing, City wish to be heard at all on Mr. Hamilton's matter?
Your Honor, we just ask the court follow along with the disposition. This is just really an issue of the defendant being excluded from 7-Eleven. The owners in this case have previously done that, and yet he continues to come back and then, in this present instance, refused to actually leave the inside of the store. And the owners at that point in time contacted law enforcement in order to effectuate his removal from their business. So hopefully this resolution seeks to make all those parties whole and incentivizes the defendant to remain law-abiding going into the future. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you for that record. Mr. Jabili, any statements you'd like to make on Mr. Hamilton's behalf?
I would just state on the record I previously made, Your Honor, I did discuss the fact that Mr. Hamilton is on parole. It's his position that he doesn't believe that this will affect that parole case.
Okay. Mr. Hamilton, do you have any statements or questions you'd like to make?
No, Your Honor.
Is that right? You're on parole? Your attorney's saying you're on parole?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you don't think that this is going to violate your parole, huh?
No, Your Honor.
You understand you got the right to slow this process down a little bit, right? And make triple check on that parole issue. You're comfortable proceeding with this guilty plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any statements you want to make before I finalize sentences we've already talked a bit about?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Hamilton, I appreciate your willingness to take responsibility for your actions. I view this as a relatively minor offense, obviously aggravated by the fact that you continue to return there. If you don't mind me asking, why do you continue to return to that 7-Eleven?
That's where I go in Panhandle, where I go try to make money. I live on the streets, so I beg from people to eat and survive.
Understood. And I know it can be difficult out there. I do want to mention to you that throughout the duration of your case, which is going to be scheduled to last just under a year, you do qualify for services through our Court Navigator program. If you feel like you're not being supported by the community to lift yourself up out of some of these issues, you're welcome to work with them. Number one, to help comply with the court orders so you can avoid hopefully getting in trouble again. But number two, to help you connect with local government agencies and local nonprofits for services. If you think you'd benefit from that service, you're welcome to stop by anytime during normal business hours to get connected with them. But generally, he's here
Where?
Tuesday through Thursday all day, okay?
Where do I go?
Englewood Municipal Courthouse. Do you know where we're located on the second floor above the library?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Feel free to stop
Okay,
by
I'll
anytime
go
and engage
check
with
that
that
out.
program. Okay. I encourage you to do so and just encourage you to stay away from this particular 7-Eleven. You're not going to be restricted by this court from other places. And so maybe find a different location to do some of those activities. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And so in this case, I'm going to follow the prosecution recommendation. I'm going to sentence you to a 30-day jail sentence. However, I'm going to suspend all 30 days, leaving you 0 days to serve. That'll be the maximum amount the court will consider in the future if you're found in violation of the court orders in this case. Secondarily, I'm going to fine you. Do you have any current form of income by chance?
No, Your Honor.
When's the last time you had any substantial income, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I got hit by a car, so I got a broken leg and broken neck, so I don't know how long it's gonna be till I can work. I got hit about 8 weeks ago by a car.
Okay. Hopefully you're taking care of your medical needs?
I'm trying.
Okay. That's something else maybe I can point you in the right direction of if you feel like you need that.
As a matter of fact, when I got picked up, I was in a wheelchair, and the cops picked me up. They took my wheelchair and they took it down to the Englewood Municipal Police Department with my backpack, and they never gave me a property slip or anything like that. So like when I get out, I'm gonna be stuck on the street with no wheelchair or no way to get around.
Understood. I know that can be difficult. I encourage you to, upon your release, go to Englewood Police Department to try to retrieve your property. I'll mention that to the prosecutor. I'll ask him to send an email over there, letting them know that you're likely to be released upon sentencing here and that you would like to retrieve your property and see if that can help you out a little bit on the front end, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Mr. Hamilton, I've suspended 30-day jail sentence. I'm going to also fine you $200, and I'll suspend all $200 of the fine, leaving you 0 fine to pay, given that you don't have any current form of income. However, I am going to impose some costs. You're going to owe a balance of, let's see, $80 in this case, but I'm going to authorize community service in your case. If you'd like to do 4 hours of productive community service, you can pay your balance in full that way. In fact, if you meet with the court navigator like we talked about, he'll give you credit for an hour just for meeting with him, okay?
Okay,
So 30-day jail sentence and $200 of fine suspended on the following conditions. Number one, no further violations of the law for a 1-year period. That excludes minor traffic issues of 8 points or less. But Mr. Hamilton, you got to stay out of trouble. Any additional convictions with a date of violation after today's date could subject you to up to 30 days of jail time and up to $200 of additional fines. Please consider this an unsupervised probationary period. That's a long time, and I know you've had some issues with these public trespasses, so please don't forget about this case and work with our court navigator upon your release, okay?
I will.
Do you have
Yes,
any
Your
questions?
Honor.
Do you have
Thank
any
Your
questions about your restriction from that 7-Eleven?
Honor. No, Your Honor.
It's because number two, you're going to be ordered to have no contact with 7-Eleven located at 3131 South Broadway. That's at Dartmouth and Broadway, essentially, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then finally, you're to appear at all court dates and pay your balance. I'm not going to set any review dates unless the city's requesting those.
No.
I'm simply going to rely on the court date out a year from now. That's the date in which your case is scheduled to end. The only reason you need to come back to court on that day is if you had any issues with the remaining conditions of no further violations or contact with the 7-Eleven. Please make your best efforts to pay your fines and costs or do the appropriate community service with a local community service provider. Are you connected with any local nonprofits, Mr. Hamilton?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you work with any local nonprofits by chance? You ever been over to Movement 5280 by chance?
No, I was trying to get a hold of them the other day, but I couldn't find them.
Okay, they're over there on Logan, right, at Englewood Bible Church, what used to be Englewood Bible Church on Logan. I encourage you to go pick up some community service hours there or connect with our court navigator. He can connect you with them, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about your sentence today?
No, sir.
Mr. Hamilton, I look forward to the successful termination of this case. Good luck to you. I look forward to hopefully seeing you, we're engaging with the court navigator rather than seeing you in custody, okay?
All right.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
luck to you. You have a great day.
You too.
Give me just a moment and we'll move on to Mr. Peak.
What then? You know, seats feet up the chest.
So that 80 was a bench warrant fee and court cost, new court cost.
Can I see in a regular chair? Because I'm really messed up, man. Even if it's right there.
Okay, now calling the matters of Thomas Peak. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Peak.
Good afternoon.
Looks like Mr. Peak has a total of 11 matters, 3 of which are money-only matters, and I believe in a collection stance, well, pending collections in February. And then he's got 3 matters in which he's being held, as well as some other predisposition matters. I know he's been reset for today's date to proceed with show cause contempt hearings on his matter. Counsel, please enter your appearance on Mr. Peak's behalf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Khalid Jabili, 39212. Your Honor, my understanding is the city is prepared to proceed on that hearing and the officers will be able to testify. As such, Your Honor, Mr. Peak is willing to enter into the disposition as proposed by the city, that Mr. Peak would admit violating 036173M and 037267M. He would also be entering a plea in 2023M 184M to trespass. There would be 270 days jail suspended, no further violations of the law for 1 year, no contact with Little Dry Creek Park, and no contact with Hoffman's Big and Tall Stores, no contact with Cafe 180, and no contact with Christian Park. Fines and fees would be open to the court. The city would agree to dismiss, 2023 any remaining charges in 2023 184M, and all charges in 2023 929M, all charges in 2023 196M, as well as 2023 284M, 035641M, and 2023 226M.
That is correct.
Excellent, thank you for that record. And so if he took this plea agreement, that would essentially leave him with 6 cases. The 3 money-only matters, the 2 post-disposition matters in which the court would proceed to immediate sentencing on the guilty plea due to violation of the previous court orders, as well as the 1 new case in which he'd have the 270 days suspended. Is that correct, Mr. Jabili?
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
Is that correct, City?
Yes.
Okay. I assume that both city and defense will argue sentencing on the 2 post-disposition matters, or have we discussed any potential joint recommendation or anything in that range?
Your Honor, the representation the city made to defense counsel was that the sentence would be open to the court. City has a position as far as what it would recommend, but ultimately, no, nothing has been stipulated.
Yeah, okay. And so if he entered into this plea agreement today, then the court would proceed to immediate sentencing on the other post-disposition matters. I would hear first and foremost from the city on recommendations for sentencing. I would give defense an opportunity to be heard, both through Mr. Jabili as well as Mr. Peak, to try to fashion the appropriate sentence in those matters here today. Those cases, I believe, are cases in which the court suspended, I believe, a total of 88 days. Does that sound correct, City?
I believe, Judge, it was 90 days in each of those cases. One moment.
Okay, let me take a look.
I have 90 days on the matter ending in 67M and 90 days suspended in the matter ending in 73M.
Okay, bear with me just a second here. Zero 37267 is a case in which he'd entered a guilty plea to trespass back in June. saw a 90-day jail sentence with 2 days credit for time served. And case number 036173M is a case in which, on the same date, he entered a guilty plea to violation of park rules. Same sentence was suspended. Candidly, it's a little bit unclear to me whether those are combined sentences, which I suspect, candidly, given the nature of the charges, that those were combined for a total jail sentence of 90 days with 2 days credit, leaving 88 suspended, is my read of that, Green. Does that sound correct to you, City?
No objection, Judge.
Okay. And so that would be the maximum possible punishment if Mr. Peak entered a guilty plea today in violation of court orders on those 2 suspended sentences for no further violations, as well as no contact with Little Dry Creek. I assume that's the alleged location of the new violation?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about that, Mr. Jubilee, about how you want to proceed?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Peak, did you understand everything I just covered with your attorney?
I think so, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you see a video advisement of your rights today?
Yes.
Is there anything making it difficult for you to understand what we're doing today, such as medication, illness, drugs or alcohol, mental health, or any other reason?
I have a recent traumatic brain injury in which I got hit by a postal vehicle at Englewood Parkway and Broadway.
Okay. How long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know.
Years ago, months ago, days ago?
Months ago.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Hopefully you're receiving appropriate medical treatment. Did you discuss that over at the jail at all? Is that giving you problems or no?
Well, it interferes with my memory and my paying attention.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, but you feel like you're following along so far today?
well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you get confused at any moment during this conversation, you let me know and you raise your hand and you tell me, okay? And we can answer any questions at that point if you have any confusion, okay?
All right.
Your attorney's saying you want to enter a guilty plea on one of these cases and accept a fairly large suspended jail sentence in return for dismissal of a bunch of cases. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Secondarily, though, you understand that by entering that guilty plea, you'll be admitting to a violation of your older cases. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that we'll be proceeding to immediate sentencing on that 88-day suspended jail sentence in those old cases. And the court's going to try to make a decision today about how many of those days you should have to serve as a result of the guilty plea. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions or concerns about any of that?
No, I just don't want to waste Officer Douglas's time with court appearances.
Understood, and I sure appreciate, consideration of other stakeholders in the community, but I just want to make sure you understand what you're doing and that you're doing so knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. You think that's all true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, nobody's threatening you with something or promising you anything other than what I've just told you, are they?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, excellent. So do you wish to be heard at all?
Judge, I don't know if we've received the guilty plea.
I have not, no.
Oh, no, nothing at this time.
Yeah, okay. And so, Mr. Peak, going back to the case in which you need to enter a guilty plea to accept this plea bargain, 2023-000-184M. Sorry, bear with me just a second. Let me find that file. Recall that's a case in which you were charged with trespassing alleged to have occurred at 50 West Hampton Avenue back on September 27th of this 2023 at approximately 1 p.m. How do you plead to that charge if you don't have any questions or concerns? Guilty or not guilty? If you have questions or concerns, let me know.
Yeah, I guess West Hampton.
Yeah, that's a little Dry Creek path. It's basically where Hamden and Broadway meet. There's a pond there, what some folks call the duck pond here in Englewood. And there's a path that goes under Broadway and connects with the east side of town going all the way to the high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess, I'm guilty to that one.
Yeah, okay. And you understand that by pleading guilty today, you're going to be giving up your rights to trial and all the rights you were just advised of in that video today. Do you understand you'd be waiving those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also understand that you're telling the court that this is your decision and your decision alone to plead guilty and accept this plea offer today? Is that all correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, would you waive further advisement in the establishment of factual basis on the charge?
Your Honor.
In that case, I'll accept this plea as a voluntary plea with a knowing and intelligent waiver of his rights. Before I proceed to sentencing, anything further from the city?
Judge, we just ask that the court recognize, I believe Mr. Peak has approximately 11 days credit having served already in this case. Judge, we'd be asking for the imposition of the remaining portion of the suspended sentence. No objection to that running concurrent. Judge, I've spoken with a number of officers that are familiar with Mr. Peak leading up to this because, as has been put to me, he's probably been given maybe almost even up to 1,000 warnings prior to this. I take a look into e-court. We've got a total of 34 cases in Mr. Peak's history with our court alone. That's 34 cases. And I know as recently as last June, when the original plea entered into this matter, that the common practice of this court is to advise about access to all health and our court navigator system. I guess the issue remains is, what do we do when we've run out of options? And unfortunately, I think that's kind of where we're at here with 34 cases. Granted, I just dismissed a significant portion of those. But at the end of the day, we can't squeeze the pocketbook, and we really are just left with jail remaining. So that's where the city's position is at. I will tell the court, Mr. Peak's mother is present here in the courtroom. I had a chance to talk with her for a brief bit of period, probably about 45 minutes ago. She shared some insights into Mr. Peak. I don't know if she wants to address the court or not. I didn't get that impression, but I certainly want to allow her, in the most deference to Mr. Peak, if she would like to address the court, she's certainly welcome to. Ultimately, that's where we're at, Judge. 34 cases with our officers from the city really kind of going out of their way to afford Mr. Peak the opportunity to be warned and not have to come back, and yet we keep revisiting these issues time and time again. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you for that information. And ma'am, thank you for your appearance. You're welcome. If you'd like to make any statements or ask any questions of the court prior to sentencing, you're welcome to come up front.
I would like to say something.
Come on up to the podium.
Sure.
Welcome to you, ma'am. Would you mind just stating your name for the record?
Yes, my name's Pamela Peak, P-E-E-K,
Welcome to you, Mrs. Peak.
and I live in Englewood here. And Mr. Peak, who's sitting in front of you there, he needs medical attention. He did get hit by that mail truck on the 22nd of November, and he sustained a head injury and several other injuries. He suffers from grand mal seizures, and that's his own mess as far as I'm concerned. But he is not getting medical attention. And the biggest problem I see with what's going on in Englewood right now is, because I interviewed 15 homeless people yesterday, okay? And when they're arrested, their stuff gets trashed. They never get it back, okay? And it's what's going on. The homeless people are treated badly. If I was arrested and booked, I would get my stuff back at the end of my incarceration. But these people do not. They're on the street. They don't have anything. It's none of my business why they're on the street or what the problem is, but they're still being treated. Yeah, the City of Englewood closes all the bathrooms down. There's not even a place for them to go to the bathroom. And these are human beings, and I'm tired of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Peak, would you like to make any statements?
I'm sorry, I'm still astonished that my mom is here today.
Seems like a good thing, right?
But yeah, I guess I've been trespassing everywhere. Where do you guys want me to go? I mean, except to another city. because, yeah, I'm trying to stay here in Englewood. I don't know why, but, well, yes. Um, I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, anything about yourself or anything about this incident you think would be helpful for sentencing?
Um,
And don't feel like you have to. I appreciate, your willingness to take responsibility for the one case there. Do you want to say anything further?
well, no, I don't recall the incident in question, because of my, I don't know whether it's because of my traumatic brain injury or other things, but, I mean,
Well, Mr. Peak, again, I appreciate your willingness to take responsibility for your actions. I certainly understand that it can be difficult to be homeless in our society. And to your mother's point, she's talking about, what some people talk about as a two-tiered, system of justice in the United States. And I'll tell you that, this court, makes substantial attempts to level that playing field. And, she talked a bit about some property issues and medical needs of you. And, the court's committed to trying to help you access those. Hopefully you heard me discuss the Court Navigator program with our previous defendant. Did you hear that conversation at all?
yes, I did.
And so please know upon your release from custody that you're welcome to work with that program and, for any medical needs you may have, as well as compliance with the court orders, as well as connections for basic services. Secondarily, hopefully you've mentioned this issue to the local sheriff there. If you are going to spend some time over there, I want you to make sure that your medical needs are being taken care of while you're over at the jail. They do have medical staff available to take care of your needs over there. Have you notified them of any of your issues regarding that car accident or TBI?
No, not so far because, I got arrested the night before I was supposed to go to the doctor.
What kind of doctor appointment you got?
Actually, I don't know. A good deal of my attention span has gone away. I mean, as far as what I have done is, I've recovered from a broken spine, and frankly, it's and a lot of other things down in Dry Creek Park and.
Why do you feel like you remain homeless, Mr. Peak, if you don't mind me asking?
Because
Are you able to work, do you know?
I'm able to work, but not many employers will fund the liability insurance it takes to hire me.
I understand. And, Mr. Peak, if you got any other statements, go ahead, but I'm happy to proceed. Appreciate your statements.
As well as being my favorite park, the duck pond has been kind of a home, a home for me. Other than at nights and on weekends or whatever.
Understood. And hopefully you're aware of some of the bad outcomes that have happened over by the duck pond. Are you aware of the, I think it was a murder last summer over there, and I know that the city's been pretty heavy enforcement over there, so just be aware of that, okay?
Yes.
As you're choosing where to be.
I will not, no longer go there.
And that is going to be, probably one of the more important conditions of your sentence, and I'll go over all of those places you're going to be restricted from. First, I'm going to proceed with sentencing on 2023-00184M. I'm going to follow the prosecution recommendation. I'm going to sentence him to a 270-day jail sentence. I'll also fine him $500, but I'll suspend all 270 days of the sentence and all $500 of the fine. On some conditions. The first condition, Mr. Peak, is that you can have no further violations of the law for a 1-year period. That excludes minor traffic issues of 8 points or less, but you got to stay out of trouble. Any additional convictions with a date of violation after today's date could subject you to up to 270-day jail sentence in this unsupervised probationary case. Do you understand that fairly substantial first condition?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And I know that it can be difficult out there to avoid those things if you're not receiving some help from the community. I'm really encouraged to see your mother here today. I don't know exactly where your relationship is there, but I certainly encourage you to, restore your relationship with your family for your own benefit as well as theirs. And work towards your own rehabilitation. It sounds like you got some medical issues to deal with, as well as hopefully rehabilitation regarding determining your ability to work in the future, or maybe disability. I don't know which of those makes sense for you, but I encourage you upon your release to work with our court navigator, okay?
All right.
The second condition is going to be that you're going to have no contact with a few locations. The first one is the little Dry Creek Park that we call 50 West Hampden Avenue, and that's that duck pond area that we talked about, okay? Do you understand that area?
Yes.
The second is Kaufman's Big and Tall Store, which is on the corner there of Englewood Parkway and Broadway. It's currently vacant, a little bit boarded up. Do you know which property I'm talking about? It's basically in like the King Soopers parking lot there.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're not to have any contact with that location as well. Thirdly, no contact with Cafe 180, which is on that exact same block on the opposite corner as Kaufman's. Do you understand that you're not to have any contact with Cafe 180?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then finally, you're to have no contact with Cushing Park, which is located at 700 West Dartmouth Avenue. So you actually are restricted from 4 locations: Little Dry Creek Park, Kaufman's Big and Tall, Cafe 180, and Cushing Park. That's a lot. You understand all 4 of those areas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The city wish to be heard on any additional sentencing on the show cause?
No, Judge.
Defense wish to be heard on that at all? Your Honor, we would just ask the court, we mentioned the 11 days. Those stem from 3 days in October from the 23rd to the 25th. His recent arrest is from December 26th. It's today. That's 8 days plus the 3 is 11, Your Honor.
Understood. Okay. In those cases, it looks like those were originally relatively petty offenses, but just like today, I think represented a global disposition of several cases for Mr. Peak back in June. However, I will note the somewhat petty nature of the offenses. He pleaded guilty to violation of park rules in 036173M and trespassing in 037267M at 50 West Hampden Avenue, so trespassing the park, essentially. Court's not going to impose the maximum sentence on these matters.
What did you do? Run around like a chicken with your head cut off?
Given that Mr. Peak is taking responsibility for his actions and, again, that they were relatively petty offenses. I'm going to impose a 30-day jail sentence. I'm going to credit him for 11 days credit for time served. That's going to leave him with 19 days to serve because I'm going to run both of those sentences concurrent with each other in any other matter. Upon successful completion of that sentence, those 2 cases are going to be terminated without cost. I'll waive additional fines and cost, leaving him with just the 1 case remaining. In fact, further, well, just leaving him with the one case besides the money only matters. And Mr. Peak, if you want to work on those money only matters, I'm going to authorize community service in those cases. If you work with our court navigator, you can do some community service hours in lieu of the fines and costs in all those cases, because I'm not going to impose any fines or costs in this new case. Do you have any questions or concerns about your sentence today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Peak. I look forward to the successful completion of the one remaining case. I encourage you to make best use of your short stint over there. Number one, I encourage you to, notify them of any medical needs you may have. And number two, encourage you to try to make use of your time over there. They have some good programming, including JBBS, the Jail-Based Behavioral Services Program. I encourage you to try to engage with them a little bit for some treatment while you're over there. But I also encourage you upon your release to work with our court navigator throughout the duration of your case, scheduled to last just under a year. City requesting any review dates in his matter?
No, just at the end of the 1 year period. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And so I encourage you to work with both our court navigator as well as what we call our community justice services manager, who can help you come into compliance in the unsupervised probationary period early if you would like, okay? Any questions or concerns about any of that? Good luck to you, Mr. Peak. I look forward to successful completion of these matters. Upon your release, I encourage you again to meet with our court navigator and work with your mother and the community on your needs, okay? Have a great day. Thank you. I think that's all for today. Thank you, Deputy. Thank you, City. Thank you, Mr. Jabili. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon. Court is now in
Thank you, Your
recess.
Honor.
Recording stopped.